What's going on, everybody? ChumpChangeXD here. Welcome back to the Chump Change channel. Today I brought some mounting putty. As you guys can see right here, we obviously have the hangers that I did not get to when I was supposed to break down that mining rig. And as you can see, got another box right here. This is supposed to be another server PSU. So plan is today, let's break down this mining rig right here, this 6-card Veddah frame, get it out of here, and we're gonna hang all the cards exactly like all the rest of the rigs on this rack. So it'll be a 13-card, motherboard mounted on the wire racks, GPUs hanging from the wire racks, the whole 9 yards. So that's what we're gonna do. I guess the only thing we can do right now is let's start by shutting down the miner inside HIVEOS. All right, so I just stopped the miner. Now once that's complete, we will start disassembling. Gonna let it run for a minute or two, and then I'll shut the whole thing down just to let the cards cool, because that's what I was advised to do. So that's what we're gonna do. I am super excited to actually use this mounting putty. I'm very curious to see how it works, because the pictures from that guy looked so good. All right, let's open up this server PSU, shall we? Make sure that's what it is. So when you guys purchase these server PSUs, most of them are going to be refurbished, because once they get to a certain life expectancy in a server warehouse or big building, they actually retire them and they send them off to be refurbished. But yeah, so this is a refurbished 1200 watt platinum server power supply. If you feed this 240 volts, like a say a Triple Light PDU, one of these guys right here that's fed off 240, you can actually get full 1200 watts out of that. If you feed it with 120, which is like your normal household plug, you can only get 900 watts out of that max capacity. And as you guys may have seen in my previous short video, I'm trying to make awareness of the fact that new miners probably aren't going to understand this, or even if you do, you guys could potentially be creating a fire hazard if you're not careful with your PSUs. So most people will be using an ATX PSU. Going over 80% of that is a fire hazard. Something could fail, something could happen, who knows? It's really a matter of time if you're running it at like 90 or 100%. A server PSU is intended to go max wattage 24/7. So those are okay to run max watts. But when you guys switch from Ethereum, Ergo, or whatever the case may be, going to a core dependent algorithm like Ravencoin say, these cards are gonna draw more power, and you're gonna probably have to add another PSU or take a card off the rig or something along those lines. So I just want to bring awareness to that. But without further ado, let's shut this thing down and let's get disassembling. All right, so real quick, as you guys can see, I numbered all of the USBs going into the board, so I can basically just unplug them and they're going back to the card. I'll just leave them hanging so I don't mix up anything. All right, so now only the cards that are on the rig are actually plugged into the board. Disconnect the Ethernet and disconnect, actually the screen can stay there. That's really it. So I just gotta unplug the power, which is right here. And this Veddah frame should be able to pull right out. I'm gonna leave this server PSU and all these cables right here, because at this moment they don't really matter. Jeez, complete mess. But if you guys noticed, I have arrived with some Velcro straps to do some cable management. So that is my plan as well. I might end up saving that for another video, I'm not entirely sure. But all right, let me get this rig out, let me get it up there on the desk, and we'll start ripping it apart. That's what I love about the Veddah frames. So easy to just lift this entire thing up and put it somewhere else versus disassembling each card. But again, the Veddah frames just aren't big enough for the 13 slot motherboards that I have, which are the H110 Pros. That's kind of my logic behind doing all of this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave all these cards just like they are. Really no sense of moving them. I am just going to remove these 7, there's 6 here and 1 back here. I don't know if you guys saw. That's a 1660 Super. I gotta throw hangers on all these, and I gotta get these hung right on the back side, and then we will do all the wiring. We'll throw the mounting putty on a couple clips. We're gonna throw in the new server PSU and the new ZSX breakout board with all the necessary cables, and we're gonna completely eliminate this ATX PSU. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, so there you have it. So let me go about throwing all the hangers on these cards. In addition to that, after I get those hung, I am going to disassemble this motherboard from the frame. I'm gonna leave the CPU and everything else intact. I'm just going to lift the board off, put the new clips on, and place it on the rack exactly like this setup right here. All right, so you guys will see these all hanging right over there, along with that motherboard mounted, in just a second. All right, as you can see, all the cards are hung. So just before I get to mounting this motherboard, I want to plug in all the necessary cables, like the 24 pin that goes to the ZSX breakout board, and the Molex and SATA cables that I need to power the H110. So let's plug this stuff in, just because it's more sturdy laying flat on the desk versus actually pushing it while it's on the motherboard mounts. So that's that. And then on this, like I've shown before, I end up plugging the first Molex into the first slot on the H110, and then the second SATA, I actually take an adapter, which I have right here, and this is a SATA by Molex that will plug into the other half of the board. Okay, now that I got that taken care of, let's bring this board. So I'm just going to figure out the spacing for this board right here on this rack, and then we'll start plugging everything in. All right, we're still a complete disaster, but I have the motherboard mounted, and I pushed the server PSU back on the right side to be basically even with all these ones. So I got to figure out what's going on with all of these cables that are actually hooking up to the right server PSU. Then I will take all of the back cards and I will plug them into the left side server PSU that's actually going to be powering the motherboard with the ZSX breakout board. So let's throw this on here. Basically just push the board on. Then what we're going to do is plug in the Molex for the ZSX board to the back port closest to the number, or closest to the numbers rather. Then we're going to take the 24 pin and we're going to plug that in. Okay, all plugged in. Man, it's a nice breeze today. It's nice and cool outside. All right, so real quick, I just pulled this server PSU out and I'm looking at this breakout board. As you can see, it has the spots to connect two breakout boards together with this thin wire, and this breakout board does not have that. So I am swapping this board out with this one, and then that way I can intertwine both PSUs so they work in tandem just like all the rest of my rigs. So let me plug this in. Okay, we'll throw this back there, and I'm gonna run the wire behind and plug this in right there on the other breakout board so they communicate. All right, now let's throw the mounting brackets on. These guys right here with some of this mounting putty, and I'll show you guys that done in 1 second. So there's a couple squares of the mounting putty, as you guys can see. I'm just gonna stick one over here underneath the breakout board, and I'm gonna do the same over here and just squish it down onto it just so it holds in place. And that actually works really well. So as you can see, mounting putty, actually you probably can't really see it, but basically just kind of squish this down onto it and it holds it nice and firm, and you can't lift up unless you really pull it. So now what I'm going to do is focus on getting all these GPUs plugged in, and then maybe we will try to cable manage just a little bit. Okay, so I plugged in all the USBs and everything to this right server PSU. I need to open these up because I want to get some sort of cable management done. I'm going to bundle all of the power cables. So I think, I mean, you don't want to be pulling them too tight because I don't want the cards to get sucked into each other. But I want it to look half decent, as neatly as I can. It's probably not going to be fantastic, but it doesn't have to be. I just kind of want to keep them bunched in the general area together. It's not the best, but it's not that bad. How's that look? Not too bad. I put one strap there and one strap there, just bundling all of the wires for the right side server PSU from all the front cards. I actually went ahead and I just plugged in every USB, and I just bunched the USBs, 7 this way and 6 that way, equaling 13 obviously. Now all I have to do is plug in all of those cards to this server PSU and we should be able to fire her up. So be honest, tell me what you guys think. I don't think it's that bad. Everything's basically bunched up from the front cards, everything's bunched up from the back cards, and then I have the USBs just kind of split side to side. I think it came out fairly well for cable managing a bunch of different size cables. So I think in somewhat of the near future, I may end up taking these cords all down and using different sizes to make it a little easier to cable manage. Just because right now I might have some shorter cables in like different spots, and the wires need to go further. So I think that's what I'll do, but I'll save that for a later date. Also, I need to clean up all of these rigs, like I said before, plenty of times. So that's my plan. I'm gonna do exactly the same thing for the rest of these, probably in an upcoming video. So stay tuned for that, but that's all in due time. Let's plug this in and get this rig back online, make sure everything's working properly. Okay, just plugged in the server PSU. Make sure the ZSX is in. Now let's plug in the other PSU. All right, we have power on both. So realistically, turn this one on, they should both come on. All right, that one powered up, and so did that one, if you guys can see the light glowing. So I'll have power on this, and we'll see if we get the rig rebooted. Nice. Fantastic. All the fans are spinning. Everything should be coming back up, so I need to jump into my phone. It says it's still offline. It's going to take a second to boot up. All the fans just stopped. So once the fans kick back up and keep going, then I'll know Hive is working. There we go. And they all just started up. All right, so she's up and running. We should be good to go. I'm hoping that this helps with this rig shutting down. Now that the cooling is going to be a lot better not having the Veddah frame right there in the back side of this, and it can stay cool just like all the other rigs are. So this is now 6 full 13 GPU mining rigs. Not that it wasn't before, but they're all now built on the monster rack like I eventually want them all to be. All nice, neat cable managed and easy to disassemble and get to each card as needed. So next video, I'm gonna be cable managing all these next time I'm here, along with throwing those frames back together like I said I was going to do. I just don't have time. I have to get out of here, unfortunately. So as always, guys, I appreciate you all for watching. Please stay safe, and I'll see you guys real soon.